Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight. Hello world, hello Christy. We're back for episode 13 of Married at First Sight San Diego. And this was a fun episode.
I definitely enjoyed it. Lots of drama.
So much drama. Where would you like to start?
Let's do Lindy and Miguel.
Okay, that is my first couple as well. Let's get into it. So, axe throwing date. Is there anything you wanted to talk about before the date?
No, I think that was basically the first thing we saw. We
Okay.
learned Miguel is not good at axe throwing.
So, here was my problem with that. And I'm going to try to keep this from being too much of a rant. But, so she was way better at axe throwing than he was. However, he appeared to have a disadvantage because for some reason, he was not actually throwing an axe. He was throwing an entrenching tool.
Yeah, why? Why didn't they both have axes?
I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to make her look better or, I mean, entrenching tools do have a sharp edge.
It looked like a shovel.
Right. It kind of was, but it's like a military thing. So it does have an edge.
But it doesn't, when you throw it, it doesn't move through the air like an axe does.
I'm just not convinced that he would have done much better. He's more of a nerd. Maybe that's too mean, but there you go. Yeah, she kicked his little hiney, that's for sure. Everything. There's a lot of emotional whiplash for me watching this show because things will be going so good for a couple and then just they take a huge veer off of the track.
Well, Lindy's especially good at that. Like, they could be in conversation and all of a sudden she's like, after the axe throwing, she's talking about she's fearful of an explosion coming and she says it's not off the table.
Yeah, she's like trying to prepare him for the apocalypse that she is going to cause. And I guess I don't fully understand why she feels the need to do that. It's always, and this has been across a bunch of episodes, but it's always like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Oh, it's going to get real bad.
She needs to stop doing that. It's not productive. It always leads to like just fighting and awkwardness.
Yeah, all it does is scare him, really. That's all it does. And as much as I've kind of had my doubts about him through this entire process, this really isn't a good way to handle things on her part. It's just very counterproductive.
No, and then it leads to Miguel saying stuff like he can't tell her don't worry because that sounds cheap to him.
Yeah, which is I mean, I get it, but also you're in a relationship. Be a little into it. I don't know. Hard to say. I feel like I get a little bit more on Miguel's side as we go because Lindy just seems like a maniac to me. like you're always so close to unhinged Lindy, no matter when or where you are.
Right on the edge.
Right on the edge of unhinged. All the time.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking actually to watch them.
Yeah.
'Cause it always feels like at any moment things could just explode.
Right, and we do know that she has a tendency to be in sort of negative spirals and just be very negative in general. I mean, we got the full treatment when Miguel was meeting with her friend there. Just the montage of Lindy. You know, the mostly black and white to make sure we knew this is from the past. And just, man.
And then they start talking about a loveless marriage, which it seems like Lindy feels, well, even if the marriage is like quote unquote loveless at the time, you can like work on things and bring it back. Like she wouldn't leave, but Miguel is like less on that train. Is more like, if I try, we'll try, but if things don't work out, he'd be gone.
Yeah.
And then like she interprets that as, I need to like cater to him to make sure that he doesn't leave.
Right. I don't know if I really agree with either of their approaches to this whole thing. Because first of all, what are you really defining like the loveless?
Yeah, I don't know.
As
does that mean like you've chosen not to love the other person? I feel like that's what Lindy is thinking it means, since I think she mentioned it being a choice.
Right, and I don't think that's how he thinks about things. And then also it's just further complicated by how crazy, like, I'm not even there, and it scares me a little bit seeing her like start like the maniacal laughter and stuff like that. Like, it's scary. It's real scary.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome.
Man. Good luck to him.
Yeah, we see him chatting with Lindy's friend. And he says everything was great until they received the baby from the experts, which had them all stressed out and not sleeping.
Which was the point.
Yes. Lindy was quick to anger, he says. Which I feel like we didn't actually see any of that. During the baby episode, it was all like, oh, this is funny, and yeah, we're up every 2 hours.
No, I think we saw the first like 4 hours with the baby, and they had it for like 2 days, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do want your opinion on it, because I don't like that I'm reaching this point, but I'm coming around more and more to Miguel's side here in a lot of ways, particularly when he was talking about like her tendency to always just immediately get triggered by stuff. That's kind of a deal breaker for him.
They called it the cycle of negativity.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I guess I put it in the same sort of basket as dealing with Mitch, in that you have, and let's be real, I don't think most people would classify Lindy in the same in the same category as Mitch, but that just tendency to always be, oh, something happens, I'm just gonna kind of go crazy and wild, I feel like has this similar psychological effect as dealing with a lot of Mitch's things, of like, it's just so exhausting.
It drains you after a while.
Yeah, it's so, because there's nothing really you can do about it. It's gonna happen, and really all you can guarantee is that it will happen, but there's not really much rhyme or reason beyond it just happens most of the time.
Yeah, that's hard to live with.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to live with that?
No.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Well, do you have anything before we get to meet with Pastor Cal?
No, that was the next thing I had. mean, they kind of rehash a lot of the same things we've talked about. Like, they're all stressed from the baby, a lot of tension. And then he mentions Lindy being overtly negative, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, see, I feel like that didn't really get addressed here. I know that he addressed the, like, Lindy kind of escalating craziness, where he was talking about, well, so what is, like, where are you typically at? Asking her to rate it 0 to 10. And she's at, like, a 4.5 usually. Oh.
Well, I think she was saying that when she gets intense, it has been at a 4.5
Okay.
level.
Okay.
But she's been at a 10 twice in her life.
Which Pastor Cal's point was that are you really talking to Miguel? Are you really going to kind of give up about all of this because she's reached a 10? Like the last time she reached a 10 was 18 years ago, sort of deal.
Kind of like you have to take her as she is now, not where she was once or twice.
Right, which it does contradict a little bit Lindy's whole thing of she's always trying to show him the worst and always reminding him like, just like the boat date, for example.
Yeah.
You think you've seen the worst? Please. Please, I can destroy you.
I did like that Pastor Cal said, don't forecast doom, because she does that all the time.
Oh, every single second it feels like.
And she said it doesn't even register that she's doing this.
Lady, it needs to start registering, because that is kind of toxic and difficult to live with. Oh, man. What else do you have for them? Anything?
I think that was pretty much it.
Okay, well, decision day. We're less than 2 weeks away.
I'll still say yes for now.
Oh boy. Yeah. I'm gonna say yes as well. We'll see. But
I mean, next episode does not look promising for them.
Well, it doesn't look promising for anybody, really. But yeah,
it's a scary preview for them.
Oh, scary, real scary.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, but look, we can't forecast doom, okay? Okay,
the show forecasted doom.
Can't do that. They have to do that to get our eyeballs back. All right, I'm still going yes. All right.
Yeah, me too.
All right, where would you like to go next?
I want to talk about Kristen and Mitch.
Oh boy. Already? Okay.
There's so much there.
Okay. Let's do it. You seem like you have stuff you want to talk about here.
Well, first we see Kristen meeting with Stephanie, his sister-in-law.
I guess I didn't remember that he had a brother.
I think I don't remember if we saw the brother with some kids maybe at the beginning, but yeah. And so she talks about struggling with Mitch's contrarianism, which was a new word for me. And then Stephanie talked about how she was able to work through things with Mitch because she's also like pretty strong-willed, strong-minded. I'm not quite sure how she was able to do that, considering the two of them are kind of similar in that way. But
well, I guess my question is, how bad could it really have been for her?
Yeah, that's the other thing I thought of when she said that. I was like, well, you weren't married to him.
Right.
You didn't have to live with him 24/7.
Yeah, and I guess my other question is, how bad is his brother? Is his brother more normal? It seems like his brother's more normal.
Well, the sister-in-law Stephanie did mention something about compromising on the environmentalism stuff, so I don't know if maybe his brother has some of that
Or Mitch
Also,
was just like, I will murder both of you if you do not.
for me, I would not be conforming to that if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I get that. It's just like,
It's like, okay, that's your thing. I can live my life how I want to.
right, but if you're trying to like keep him in your life and not have him destroy everything.
Well, just when you invite him over, you pull out all of the reusable stuff, hide your paper towels and plastic bags.
Oh man. Oh. Yeah, basically she's trying to get a second opinion about the contrarianism.
Yes.
Oh man.
So-
That's real rough. We keep coming back to this time and time again. Is Mitch going to be able to be flexible enough to make this work? And we've gone back and forth, and I don't know.
Yeah, I would, if I had to predict, I'd say no at this point.
Hey, we're not at the end yet. You can't say that. We haven't talked about everything. So, the meeting with Dr. Pepper.
I loved this.
I feel like they met with Dr. Pepper a second time when the rest of everybody met with other people, because they were like, we really need the big guns on this one. We got to send in the pro.
And for some reason, Mitch starts off this meeting looking like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Oh, he looked so angry.
Did something happen right before the meeting, or he looked
very angry.
miserable? Yeah,
it was very stark.
like a child sitting in timeout kind of thing.
Yeah. So talk to me about this. I'm very interested to hear your observations on how this went.
I liked that Kristen brought her list of things that she needed addressed with the expert. It's like, this is the perfect time to do that. So she talks about feeling guilty for drinking iced lattes. And then Mitch says, oh, it won't break the marriage if she forgets her reusable cup.
Yeah, so basically, he was like, okay, I can live with you getting iced lattes, even though, deforestation in South America to grow your beans or whatever. Okay, I can live with that, but you're gonna need to bring your reusable cup to Starbucks. You forgot it. Oh boy.
I just feel like there are so many little areas of life that you wouldn't even think about, that you would just be living your normal life, and Mitch is going to come in with his negativity and it ruin just normal stuff that you wouldn't even think about.
Right, and that kind of ends up being a sticking point a lot of the time, because, as she said, she doesn't want to feel guilty. And
yeah, that's rough.
And maybe most of us could stand being a bit more guilty, like feeling more guilty, because a lot of the time, I know I do. I just operate on what's easiest and yada yada, all what's convenient, and don't really think about stuff. But to just be constantly harangued about that, and it particularly, because that's, I think, been the real sticking point a lot of the time, is that it's not that he has these standards, it's that he is very critical when you don't live up to that.
Yeah, like someone said earlier in the season, it's not that Mitch is wrong about all this
Kristen.
stuff. Yeah, it's the delivery of it and the guilt tripping.
Yeah, he just can't seem to get that across 99% of the time in a way that isn't counterproductive. Because, and look, that's the other thing, is he really should know better, and he does at a certain extent. I mean, they're talking about, her house flipping, You know, they still haven't gotten over that, and he's sort of launching into this whole thing about the dark side of society and everything, you know, driving around and doing this and doing that, like all of this, it just has a dark side that we don't talk about. And his whole takeaway was, you know, that's with part of the work is, you know, not blaming individuals for like societal ills.
But that's exactly what he's doing to Kristen.
Exactly. He is blaming her,
which is so unfortunate. Like he's carrying too much. Like he's talking about urbanism, class, social justice. Is so much wrapped up in a plastic coffee cup, like, or flip. Like everything has all this weight to him. Yeah, and it's like, how do you live shouldering all of that and then put that on someone else to shoulder with you?
Well, as we've seen, he's incredibly stressed all the time. And that's, again, it just goes back to, it's not that what he wants is this super bad thing. Like, there are so many things that individuals and society do need to do better on. Mm-hmm. And as individuals, there's definitely a role that we play in that, because obviously society is made up of individuals. But to be so critical and picking at her in particular is just really tough to see.
Yeah, Kristen doesn't deserve that.
No.
Dr. Pepper is still like very optimistic about them though. She was like, yeah, there's room for growth here. Like, look how far you've come.
Which I do agree with Kristen. Sort of the theme of this season in a lot of ways has been, oh, look how much Mitch has grown, which is great.
But at her expense.
Right. And that's, I mean, earlier in the season, I thought this could work out. I'm not so convinced anymore, because I do think that this growth really has continued to be at her expense in a lot of ways, and I don't think that's something that is sustainable. Mm-mm. As we've seen, she keeps reaching breaking points here, and sort of justifiably so, I'd say.
Yeah, and then Mitch's thing that he wants to discuss is if Kristen still has the same, I guess, like, ultimatum about Decision Day where she needs an I love you. And Kristen said that she's revising it because she said that after Mitch told her he wasn't attracted to her. But now she just needs him to be committed to falling in love instead of actually saying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't totally get the I love you hang up. Just in general.
You mean having to say it by Decision Day?
Well, that, but more so the hang up in actually saying it. Like, I feel like there's so much extra weight put on that isn't really necessary, and that obviously comes from my own set of values and how I think about it. But, you know, thinking about it in terms of, it's both that, like, the set of feelings, but also the commitment on top of it. To me, that's what makes up the I love you, is both of those halves. And so it seems like a lot of these people kind of put all this, it has to be just the right perfect moment where I'm just overwhelmed by all the feelings and like, blah. When that seems like it's a bit counterproductive. Like, you kind of have to meet in the middle with the intention and the feelings. That's why I think, and they had so many issues, but with Alexis and Justin, he said it immediately because he was overwhelmed by the feelings, but he didn't have the action and the intention. Yeah. And so you have like that side of the coin, and then you have the other side of the coin of like Mitch and Nate, who are like, oh, well, like, I can't, like, I don't know, I have these intentions, but like, I don't know if I'm quite feeling it. Like, it's just like, meet in the middle, for goodness sake.
I just feel like it's also just too soon to expect people to say that after 4 weeks or however long during the experiment.
I mean,
you can't force that.
No, you can't force it. I just think that there's extra significance put on that isn't totally necessary and ends up being counterproductive.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, I know there's another scandal you want to talk about here.
Well, we see them eating dinner, and Mitch tells Kristen that it'll only get more extreme living with him. He's been more blasé about stuff since it's like, a temporary house. I was shocked to hear this too. Like, how much worse could it get? He doesn't use paper towels. He uses cloths that he washes.
Allegedly washes.
Well, that's a good point considering the state of his apartment. She said she doesn't want to always have to wash them, and he says something about, well, yeah, we'll work it out or something, which translates to Kristen will be washing all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised there.
He didn't seem like he was interested in washing them. And during all of this, he kept slurping up his noodles.
That was really annoying.
It sounded horrible through the audio on the TV. At first, I thought maybe there was some other noise in the apartment, and then it kept zooming in on his mouth.
He was eating some sort of chicken noodle soup or something.
It was terrible. And Kristen kept looking at him like, what is going on?
It felt to me like that was perhaps intentional because of the conversation they were having. Like, it seems like he does that sort of thing because he can't handle the seriousness or something. Like, remember back when they were talking about the house flipping initially, and he was doing all this, like, making salad dressing or whatever it was he was doing?
Yeah. I don't know. It was annoying. Just one more thing for Kristen to consider. Do I want to be married to this man? And so he says he's leaving space for more things to come up that I guess Kristen will not be allowed to do.
That was a bit of a red flag for me.
Speaking of, like, predicting doom or forecasting doom. And then he also decides, I'm not going to bring up this other topic because it's a sensitive subject.
All right, why? So that's my question is, why the heck did he not bring that up with Dr. Pepper? And here's my theory. My theory is that it's because he knows he's freaking ridiculous, and he didn't want to have to admit, he didn't want Dr. Pepper to make him admit that was ridiculous. That's my theory.
That could be, yeah, I could see that. I mean, he still had to admit it on camera in his ITM. Yeah,
but I feel like that's different than saying it out loud in front of Dr. Pepper, who's then going to be like, so break that down for me. Like, why? Like, why are you so obsessed with this? In my mind, this whole thing could be the final nail in their coffin.
His chat with Rachel, who's Kristen's sister, who sounds exactly
her doppelganger,
literally
her vocal twin.
So he tells her sister that he was expecting a surfy hippie girl. Now, did I know, like, when they go through the application process, they ask you, like, what kind of stuff you're looking for. Did the experts tell him that's what he was getting? Like, how would he have thought that's who I'm going to be paired with?
I'm sure that the sum of his questionnaire in his mind was that would be the result.
I don't know. So Mitch decides to broach the topic with the sister of the makeup because he says, I don't want to speak out of turn. This could be off-putting, but I'm a natural earthy guy. So wanting her to not put on as much makeup, dress down, that's what I find most attractive. And the sister comes back with, well, makeup isn't for you or the male gaze necessarily. She just wants to present how she feels best. This could come across bad if you bring this up.
No crap.
It's like, I thought the sister had a really good response.
Oh, man.
What was he thinking?
Right, and there are some things in some places you just don't go. Like, being in a relationship doesn't, I don't know, it's hard for me to put into words, but it's like being in a relationship doesn't entitle you to all this stuff, and you're more than capable and like able to express your preferences and stuff, but your preferences don't equal a mandate for the other person.
Yeah, and also, if there is one person you talk to about, it's Kristen, not her sister. Complaining to the sister is just a weird move.
I mean, I guess I kind of get the rationale because probably in his mind he's like, well, I brought it up to her before and she was really upset about it, so let me ask somebody else and get the opinion of how I can approach this better. I mean, it still doesn't come off particularly well because it's, again, there's a lot of the sort of implied, perhaps, like that he's trying to be controlling and stuff. I mean, I don't know that he's intending it to be that way, but it does come across.
Well, he wants
that way.
Her to conform to his wishes.
Right. He wants her to join his world in as many capacities as possible.
And he doesn't want to step into her world at all.
Well, no, because her world is gross and icky and capitalist and exploitative. Think about all those poor families who wouldn't be able to afford her flipped houses.
Man. So this only got worse for them.
Yeah, no, this definitely took a significant turn because then Kristen's sister called her after, of course. Lord have mercy.
Like, why wouldn't she? It's like, I need to tell my sister what this guy is telling me. And so we see this scene at the group pool day where Kristen is like talking in hushed tones to Morgan, and she says, I'm taking back what I want. I'm just keeping the peace right now. But sister told her about the conversation. It's time to plant seeds, which sounds very like ominous.
Yeah, I didn't totally understand that. Maybe it's just talking about how she is trying to like plant seeds of like, I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Yes, or perhaps planting seeds of this is not going to work out. That's how I took it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Decision day so soon.
I know. Right at the end.
Yeah. So we also got this thing where for some reason Mitch felt the need to like lie about all this stuff.
I know. That's another thing. Like, what was he thinking? You said this on camera twice.
I don't. Yeah,
because like the experts come out because I guess they'd been listening to everybody's conversation.
Of course.
They did this last season too. Where actually one of the contestants had been bad mouthing the experts, and then they walked out.
Oh boy.
That was fun. But no, nobody had trashed the experts here. But
Not yet. Not before. Like they learned from last season. We're like, we got to come out sooner.
yeah.
We don't want to get insulted again.
But yeah, Mitch starts to be like, yeah, I didn't say that.
That's,
And then he pivots to, oh, I didn't know it had gotten around.
still, why are you lying about it, bro?
He said he didn't want to seem like a controlling husband. But, you know, his actions say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So Kristen says they are both undecided. Oh, actually, sorry, that was before the experts came out.
Right. Yeah. Because it kind of came up, and I'm sure it was some sort of producer prompted thing. Like they gave each of them, like each of the couples or each of the individuals in the couples, like, oh, you should ask about this sort of thing, because I even forget who it was, but somebody asked very pointedly. So like, what's going on with the whole like attraction or like makeup thing?
Oh yeah, that was Alexis. I was wondering about how that happened. She just happened to say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was prompted.
It's all manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what then launched in the whole like, oh, I don't care about that. What? Me? Care about how she looks? What?
Yeah, so Dr. Pepper asks, are you very attracted to her? And then he pauses and says, I'm attracted to her.
Don't pause, bro. No.
And then he's like, oh, you're putting me on the spot. Kristen is understandably getting embarrassed because, like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, specifically, I was cracking up because, and I think this is how it was meant, but when Mitch was talking about, oh, like, yeah, I find you attractive and all this after she had asked the question, Dr. Pepper's like, she's going to hear that the way I heard that.
Yep.
AKA, you done effed up, bro.
Yes. Oh man, this was so fun to watch.
You just made things worse.
It was really bad. And then Dr. Pepper tries to put like a positive spin on it, and then Kristen says, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. And she's like, I'm not going to accept, oh, he's come so far. He's made me confused about myself. I came in a full, confident woman, and I want someone who wants me with a little bit of makeup on. And she needs an apology from Mitch. Mm-hmm. Very happy she said all that.
So you're on Team Kristen.
Wow.
Look, it's part of my responsibility here to figure out how you feel about these things.
I mean, it's about time she said all that.
Yeah, it's a bummer that it kind of has to, or has had to, like, have that happen in such elevated stress situations.
You mean like the group setting?
Right, versus more naturally like a slower burn type thing. But I just think that that's part of how she's handled things, is she's tried to hold things in. And I don't think that that's a productive way to handle things.
No, it does seem to come to a boil in group settings.
Right, because and I'm just speculating here, but I think there's just enough added pressure from the questions being thrown back and forth.
Yeah.
That there ends up being too much heat, and so it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even maintain the facade of like,
she can't
I'm
pretend
happy
anymore.
Right. And she shouldn't pretend. It's just, can you express those things sooner and smack them around with them a little sooner, and have them be more helpful? But again, it's not really on her to fix him.
It also seems like she was told about this conversation like right before this group
That is
thing
what she said
with her sister.
there.
So
Yeah, that like
I think she was just reeling from that and was just still mad. And so when all this questioning started, she was like, "I'm not.
I don't
I'm
freaking
not,
think so.
I'm not protecting Mitch anymore here." And Mitch has the nerve to be like, "Oh, this is blindsiding to me. Like, you created this mess." He says he hasn't been trying to force his will on Kristen. That's literally what you've been doing the whole season.
Yeah. I guess he just doesn't see it that way because it's so important and it's the right thing to do. But
It's a very self-righteous
still
viewpoint.
yeah, we have talked about his self-righteousness many times. Yeah.
I think that's all I had for them.
Okay. That's it, huh?
I've aired all my
like
grievances.
Just like 30 minutes, you gotten all that out? Okay, well, you know what I'm going to ask you here. Yes or no? Decision day coming right around the corner.
No.
No. Oh, but we were supposed to be on Team Mitch.
Well, he's making that very difficult. Even Kristen said she was done.
He has made this very difficult. And now the experts did ask them or suggest or kind of poke at them to have more conversations in a private setting and see if they can resolve these things. But I'm also gonna go no for now. I was hoping that it wouldn't reach this point, but it seems like Kristen has really had to continue shouldering this massive burden of Mitch and Mitch's expectations that they haven't really found a healthy equilibrium that I was hoping for. Like, I was hoping she was strong-willed enough to just be like, cut this out, you dum-dum. We are married, and you're going to be a normal person or closer to normal than you were before. and like, we'll compromise and figure this out. I'm not optimistic about that at this point.
I just feel really bad for her that she got stuck with Mitch.
Yeah, same.
It's just like any other person she probably could have made it work with, because she seems like a really reasonable person.
Yeah, I guess my maybe ideal outcome, it's not ideal really, but would be that they say no on decision day, and Kristen takes all this stuff that she's learned about herself, adds it to her decent personness that she seems to exude, and go find somebody normal.
Yeah.
Because I and you warned me about this. You were like, I don't think he can change. I don't think that he can flex. And I was hoping so much that he would be able to flex more, but
He seems entrenched.
oh yeah, he is. I mean, he is burrowing his way to the core of the earth. That is how how set in his ways he is. He's like one of those clams that you try to like grab them at the beach and they're just like digging to get away from you, digging deeper. Yeah, so yes, no for me for this episode and probably forever. Oh boy.
Well, let's do Ben and Morgan real quick.
Sad. Real quick.
I mean, there's not much here. Dr. Pepper visits, and I audibly groaned when I saw they were next on the TV. It's like, oh, these two.
Yep, Morgan looks pissed off as usual.
Yep.
Which is hilarious to me as she's sitting there with like this angry look on her face after everything that we've seen this season, and Morgan proceeds to claim that she has a softer side.
Yeah, we both laughed at that pretty hard.
Which,
man.
again, for me, it just kind of hurts to hear that, because she's always talking in terms of like how she could act for this like non-existent theoretical person. She's always like, oh yeah, I have a soft side. I just need somebody who isn't a piece of garbage like Ben, or like all this different. Like, she's always talking in terms of this like pie in the sky type of stuff. How she could be better or more open or softer or happy or like whatever it is, but it's always in relation to a non-existent plane and like this person that doesn't exist, and that does make me sad.
Yeah, this whole thing just was a bummer all season. And she even like pulled out her nursing license on her phone.
Yeah, that was
look,
another.
I'm a nurse. I feel like we're past that, right? Ben has said she's a nurse. Why?
She's not past that.
Why are we still on this?
Because she wanted to, and she's sort of operated like this most of the season. Is she, above everything else, she wants to feel vindicated in her own mind, but also to everyone else. And so that's how I took that moment where she's like in the interview, and she pulls out her phone and she's like, look, I didn't have to go on some effing sign-in database. Like, this is freaking Googleable. It's right here. It's public. Like,
it was supposed to be this like big triumphant moment, but I just kind of rolled my eyes at it. Like,
right, because
nobody was debating whether you were a nurse or not.
No, it was an evening of insecure judgment on his part, and they never recovered from that.
No.
So, Christy, they're reconciling, right?
Well, Morgan is like, marriage is over, want divorce.
Yeah,
friendship is not constructible.
So I think what was Dr. Pepper was like asking if, because for the first like 2.5 hours, like they had good stuff going on. So
2.5 hours.
No, look, it was longer than that. It was
just the wedding day.
It was the wedding day, and then like halfway through the first day of the honeymoon, something like that. So like a few hours. But she was asking if they could like get back to that place, like reconstruct that friendship and go from there. Which is what Morgan was like, no, that can't be. Now, if you're asking me if I could reconstruct my friendship with an awesome person and not garbage, then maybe, but reconstruct with Ben, I don't think so.
No.
So yeah, she says that she wants a divorce.
I guess we don't have to guess yes or no anymore on them.
No. This meeting with Dr. Pepper becomes their decision day.
Yep.
And Dr. Pepper asks Ben if he wants a divorce, and he says yes as well.
I mean, he had no other choice.
No, he didn't. But I mean, he could have said no, and I guess I could be reading into things, but I kind of was a little proud of him for this, just because and we saw this in the interviews this episode, but just like his parents are not going to be happy with him.
No.
At all. They are going to be very upset with him. Like, his dad may never speak to him again, which is
unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, but to kind of have that be your reality and be like, no, like this is over. I need to move on and take the lessons that I've learned elsewhere. I thought was a bit brave of him, I guess, but as you said, it's not like he really had a whole lot of choice there.
No.
I was a little surprised that Morgan wasn't like, we are going to be married till decision day because he still needs to suffer more.
I think poor Ben has suffered enough this season.
I think we have suffered enough
watching them.
It
was exhausting to watch them.
I am relieved. My note there was, at least we won't waste any more time with them this season.
I wonder if they'll still show up to like the reunion and stuff.
I mean, I feel like he will. Not so sure about her.
Morgan must be aware of the social media reception she's gotten. I wouldn't want to show up to the reunion if I were her.
I feel bad for both of them. I really do, because both of them have clearly been through some crap and have not been able to deal with that in a healthy way, and it seems especially so for Morgan. Like, it just, and I think I've said this before, she doesn't seem happy. Like, just in general, she just seems like life is not going her way, and she is just really, she puts on this air of like that strength and invulnerability that we've seen throughout this season, but just the way she carries herself, it seems like she's just deeply, deeply hurt and unhappy, and not even specifically because of Ben, but just because of in general.
Yeah, it's almost like she's carrying a chip on her shoulder.
Right. And again, I don't blame her for that. You know, she's been through a lot of trauma, and you know, and the stuff with her dad, like that's stuff that you'll carry with you, but it's also stuff you have to deal with. And so I guess what I hope is that both of them, but Morgan in particular, are able to like take this and be like, there's clearly, like, this is clearly bigger than Ben being an idiot.
Yeah, I don't think either one of them are ready for this.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, it is a little easier to be softer on Ben, I think.
Yeah,
you know,
I still,
and that's just, you know, that's the patriarchy. You know, it's hard to get behind strong women like that. We read into like, oh, she's just cranky. But that said, I do kind of feel like if Ben had been with somebody else, the marriage could have been recovered.
Yeah, I just think the mistakes he made, he was with the wrong person to make those mistakes.
Right, because at the end of the day, that stuff all just directly pushed on the problems and the insecurities that she was carrying with her. Like those, what he did was, and this wasn't intentional, but it couldn't have been any better suited to press those specific buttons.
Yeah.
on her. So did the experts do this on purpose?
It almost looks like it.
Yeah, I did. find it a little interesting that they showed up to the gathering just to be like, yeah, well, Morgan in particular, yeah, we're done. I'm never seeing you people again. You suck.
Yeah, she's really digging into Ben there.
Yeah, well, she's done that before. My last question for you with these people is, how much do you blame Alexis for the destruction of their marriage?
A good bit, actually. Because I wonder if she doesn't tell Morgan, does Morgan ever find out throughout the experiment that Ben is ranting to Justin? Or does it like come out like at the end and then there's a huge blow up and they still have the same result?
Yeah, I would sort of have my money be on that. I think that it probably would have come out at some point, probably. But even if it didn't, I just think that they had enough issues, and as much as Morgan claims that she was really opening up and all of this stuff to him post initial blow up, I don't know how much stock I put in that. Like, I feel like it would have just taken so long to get to this point where she trusted him at all. So I think it definitely exploded things sooner, but I don't know if I would attribute the kill to Alexis,
well, I guess
necessarily.
Alexis expedited things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. She expedited things for sure. So, Christy, Morgan and Ben, yes or no? Like, you could say yes. Isn't it possible that they come back for the reunion and they've gone back together?
I don't. I would be the most shocked I've ever been watching reality TV if that happened.
Okay, well, everyone, Christy's giving them a no.
A final no.
Huge shocker. I'm gonna also give a no. And with that, let's talk about Stasha and Nate real quick. I feel like not much happened.
Yeah, the first thing we see is a Pastor Cal meeting. Apparently, he was aware of all that sex stuff they did last episode.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yes, very awkward. He thought it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And so their crux with this meeting is basically Stasha has said, "I love you." Nate hasn't said it back. But he's been like holding back, like he thought of saying it.
This is what I was talking about. It's like, why Nate says that he's wanted to several times and has held himself back. Like, why? If you want to say it, just freaking say it.
Especially since she's already said it. It's not like you're going to say it and wonder, does she feel the same? She's already made that clear. So what's the holdup? Waiting for the right moment. The right moment is when she says, "I love you."
Yes. Oh, Nate, I love you. I'll get back to you. I'm still at a 5.
So then Stasha admits that she cheated.
Yes, that was the big thing for me with them this week, because I wanted to ask you how do you feel about that admission? Because people feel all sorts of different ways about past cheating.
Yeah, I don't understand why people cheat. I mean, I know why they do, but I just don't understand that sort of thing. Like, if you want to be with someone else, end the current thing first and then move on. But so she said it was over 10 years ago and she's learned since then. Like, I feel like in today's like dating landscape, that shouldn't be a deal breaker. Because that was like a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. So do you subscribe to the school of thought where, because this is something that people do think that once a cheater, always a cheater.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that too. I don't think that means if you cheat once, that means you're going to cheat subsequently again. Like, it is possible to learn from mistakes and not repeat them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I agree with that. Like, if you cheated one time in the past, well, then you could never be in a committed relationship again because, like, I don't know. It's always going to happen. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I would.
I think I feel more strongly about if, you're dating someone and they're cheating on someone with you. Because that's like that's current behavior, and they're probably just going to do it to you as well.
Yeah, I get that. For me, I think that, and this isn't necessarily my perspective, but I could see being concerned about the boundary aspect of it because, and if you think about it in terms of a relationship, there are all sorts of boundaries that happen within that relationship. One of them is if you're in a relationship with someone and you have declared that to be an exclusive relationship, right? Like monogamy is a boundary, and there are all sorts of boundaries that end up getting violated, through the course of a relationship. It's like, oh my goodness, you ate my Pop-Tart. You son of a gun. I specifically asked you not to eat my Pop-Tart. So there's all these things, like little things that happen and that are set up and torn down or established and so forth. And I do think that since that exclusivity is such a big boundary in a lot of relationships, that maybe it can be tough to look at someone and be like, oh, you cheated before. That means like you couldn't even honor like the biggest. It's not even like, oh, you put the toilet paper on the roll the wrong direction and I don't appreciate that. It's like the biggest boundary. You couldn't even live by that. And so like, can I really trust you through the relationship as a whole? But yeah, I mean, it's tough because it was a long time ago. I mean, it's hard to know the actual nature of that, whether it was just like a single isolated thing or whatnot. But I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, they're already married. So
it's true. What you gonna do about it?
He's stuck with it now. So it's like, okay, you kind of just have to be like, I'm going to trust that she learned from that and she's not going to cheat on me.
Do you think that he has that in him?
I think so. I mean, he seemed worried because it seemed like he just found out about that, which I feel like she should have maybe, if she wanted to like maybe say that in private before or something, but.
Yeah, that does seem like an in private thing.
Yeah. But instead, it came out with Pastor Cal.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You have anything else? Any nuggets from the friend meetings and all that? I don't know. I was pretty bored with them this week.
Yeah. The only thing was that his friends, when Stasha met with his friends, they said they've only heard him say "I love you" to family, so he just needs more time. So, yeah, that was pretty much it.
But Stasha's friends are like, bro, you better say it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it, man. You gotta do it. Well,
who's left?
Well, yes or no first.
Still yes.
Okay. I mean, I feel like there's some rockiness ahead, but I'm gonna go with yes for now as well.
Yep. Nothing bad.
We just have Tree.
Oh, Alexis and Justin.
I noted down that Justin met with a friend of Alexis, and the friend was freaking useless. I didn't think he offered anything.
He said a lot of platitudes, which is my least favorite thing on reality TV. It's like, say something of worth, please. But
it's like, get off the show. You're wasting my time.
I love how Justin once again took credit for giving up his dog.
Look,
Wait.
that was incredibly difficult for him.
It
Okay,
was.
it actually was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So the only thing I marked down was that they need to get past their fear.
ooh, you gotta get past your fear, everyone.
So then we had a new expert.
Yes, this is interesting to me. Talk to me about this new expert man.
A guy named Javon Franklin, who used to be married to, I think, an actress named Megan Good.
He used to be married.
Yes, he got divorced
What?
a couple months before filming this.
And they brought him in as an expert?
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I guess you could look at it one of two ways. The first one is that he is divorced now, and so his advice didn't work on his own marriage. Or you could look at it as he has learned a lot and knows what to tell people not to do so they don't end up in his position.
So, what do you think?
Well, for the purposes of this show, it has to be the second one.
No, you can't escape. You cannot escape this. What do you, as a person, think about them bringing him on as an expert?
Well,
That's what I wanna know.
I wasn't sure what to think before, but after watching him and his advice, it seems like he knows what he's talking about. So I'll go with the latter.
Okay, so you are in favor of this.
Yeah, I mean, he can at least tell them the pitfalls. It's like, hey, this is what happened in mine, even though he didn't say any of that. But
Okay, I just wanted to know how you truly felt.
I mean, I don't have a problem with him coming on.
No, I think at the end of the day, this is reality TV, and so does it really matter? No.
That's true.
But also, as I reflected on it a little bit more, because my first inclination was like, no, what? I don't think so. But as I was saying, upon further reflection, I think that I don't have a problem with it. Namely because advising people is not the same thing as living it in your own life. And I know, like, if you stretched it to extremes, yeah, I would have a problem with it. Like, if it's like, oh, some mass murderer who's like, oh, I'm gonna teach people how to not murder. It's like, bro, you just killed another 4 people yesterday. Or if it's like, it was somebody who he's been married 6 times.
Yeah, it's like,
But
okay.
I would have more issue with it, but the reality is that it's much harder to like therapize yourself and take that stuff and be like, oh well, I just know this stuff, and so my relationship is gonna be perfect. It's not really realistic. Which is why therapists, go to other therapists rather than being their own therapist.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that was my observation about that. So yeah, don't have a huge issue with it. If I hear about recurring divorces, I'll start up a change.org petition to have him removed.
But I thought his advice to them was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Because he kind of got to the root of the issue as to why Alexis wants to always be at the club or out. Because she eventually says that she's got a tough job and she wants to let loose, and then eventually feeling smothered.
Right, because and this isn't a shock, I'm sure, to anybody who's watched this season, but as much as Justin tries to kind of portray this hard exterior, he is very much an insecure person. There's a lot of insecurity in there, and I think that comes to the surface a lot in his relationship and how he interacts with Alexis. Because even just talking about, like, look, you guys have a lot of shared things, a lot of shared interests. Like, you have to address the root of that, because as he said, like, yeah, it's the club today, but like it could be work or church or any number of things in the future. And so it really, at the end of the day, isn't about
the club.
Yeah, it's that he's afraid that she's going to find someone better and be like, see ya.
Yeah, he fears he could lose her. And Devon also says you can't have a happy marriage if you're trying to control who talks to her.
Very true. Very, very true. I hope that this was able to get through to Justin, because again, I don't think he's a bad guy. He just gets stuck in his own loop and then goes around and around and around and around in circles, getting more and more and more and more and more and more insecure and freaking out.
They are still hard for me to watch.
Yeah, especially, so I feel like a big root of all of this too is their incompatibility in the bedroom.
Yes, Alexis wants to be dominated.
And I don't know what she's talking about, and I don't really want to know.
Yeah, I was
I'm
wondering
not sure
that as well.
If, like, she's meaning, like, she needs to be, like, tied down to something, or, like, or if he just needs to be more assertive. Like, I don't know what that is.
I got the feeling it was more like she wants him to take charge rather than her initiating. I don't know. But she keeps saying dominated, so that's why I'm like, part of me is wondering, is it something more than that?
Yeah, is it like there's extra layers?
But then Justin doesn't feel comfortable doing that.
It's a whole loop. It's a whole loop, yeah. Because I guess with her, she works in logistics, so I guess when she's at work, she's like on and like having to really be in charge and having to like get after things, and all she wants is to just be dominated in the bedroom. Is that so hard? Apparently it is. That really gets me.
There was a little bit with them at the group pool day.
Yeah, tell me.
With Justin saying he has mixed feelings, not sure about decision day. And then Alexis saying she wants to be the obvious choice. Like, shouldn't be any wish-washiness when it comes to choosing me. Which is true.
I mean, that's what you'd like to see in a marriage. Like, I could really take or leave my wife.
Yikes.
Oh, man. What a disaster. Yeah, the other thing, I guess, was that they were told, again, just, like, the big thing is trying to resolve their bedroom issues. And so, like, well, are you willing, like, Alexis, are you willing to kind of help him out? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, well, are you hearing this, Justin? She's willing to help you out, but you're gonna have to take the kind of the next steps. And he's like, boy,
These two, man.
Well, Christy, yes or no on Justin and Alexis?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you here.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna say yes, and I have a reason for this, a very concrete reason. And my concrete reason is Alexis's comment on Mitch needing someone with dirty teeth.
I forgot about that. It's so funny.
Because this was at the group gathering at the end, talking about Mitch's hang-ups and
Wanting
everything,
a hippie girl.
and needing a hippie girl, and we cut to the two of them, Alexis and Justin, and Alexis is like, oh, he needs someone with dirty teeth, which is hilarious by itself. But I'm saying yes because I see this as a return to their previous form. Back when they were sort of riffing about what was going on with the other couples and willing to like touch each other and all of this stuff, that is when they were doing well. And for me, I see that as their sort of happy place. Their equilibrium is when they can operate as a team, and their joy, a lot of their joy is like they can be making those comments to each other and like cracking each other up and commenting on what's going on and throwing shade. Like that is sort of the core for them. And so I see that as being a good thing. And so I'm going to go with yes.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a good rationale.
Thank you. I thought so too.
I forgot about that moment.
I know, it was so funny. They're hilarious when throwing shade. I mean, there's so much to throw shade at Mitch about, but that was a good one. Dirty teeth. Well, do you have anything from the after party?
Yes, there was one thing I forgot to mention about Kristen and Mitch, because Kristen was on after party and she mentioned that they had discussed menstrual stuff.
Oh boy.
Because, that's full of, single-use items. And so Mitch said, do your own thing, but also reduce waste as much as possible. I need Mitch to shut up about certain things. Like, a woman's period is a terrible time of the month. Leave her alone.
I mean, it is possible to be sustainable in terms of periods.
But that should 100% be her choice.
What?
You don't get to say, Mitch.
What?
Sorry.
She should choose what works for her. I don't know. I feel like for this probably isn't the right way to put this, but like for quote unquote modern women, some of the more sustainable options don't work as well. Like if you're somebody who's like always out and about working, like, because some of the most sustainable methods are like reusable pads, for example, like, and obviously there are like menstrual cups and whatnot, but for people who are like always out because they're like at work or doing whatever, like it's not super easy to be sustainable like that.
Yeah, it's a pain to deal with. It's like you've got a cup, and if it gets full while you're at work, now you gotta
fish it out in the
empty
it
out, clean it, like.
Yeah. Oh man.
I just like, if they have kids, he's gonna want, like they talked about, the reusable diapers, and guess who's gonna end up cleaning them?
Mitch. Oh no, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, that's part of the problem with Mitch, is you get the impression that he has all these grand ideas, but it works better for him if he forces other people to do it.
Yes, the execution he doesn't have to deal with.
Right. Like, yeah, who do you think's going to be doing the laundry to make sure that there are enough cleaning towels and, just all this stuff? It's obviously Kristen. But he wants that. And, reusable diapers, cloth diapers, are an actual thing that a lot of people use, but there are definite pros and definite cons to that. You don't get to just tape it up and throw it in the garbage.
No.
There's a lot more poop in your life.
To wash it.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to like gather them up in enough quantity to be washed. And can he deal with that? I would guess no.
I don't think he has thought about the logistics of that.
No, and he's not wealthy enough to hire like somebody to deal with all of that. So
no, because he could have more money if he'd let Kristen flip houses.
Well, I mean, she already makes double what he does to begin with. Oh man, look. He probably would view hiring somebody as a bad capitalist thing. Like that. No, that would be wrong. That's taking advantage of somebody.
Oh, man.
Well, you got anything else for us here today, Christy? Episode 13.
Nope. I think we covered it.
What a roller coaster. We are now down to 4 couples. I mean, we've been down to 4 couples since like the 3rd episode.
Yeah, basically.
Well, maybe the 4th episode. It took a little bit to actually get some screen time with them because of the whole bin COVID thing. But they're gone. And will we see them again for the reunion? Who knows? Probably see Ben. Maybe see Morgan. Maybe miracle will happen and they have found each other again since. But I highly doubt that. I hope that all of these people are in therapy. That's my biggest takeaway from this season.
I think
so far.
If you go on reality TV, that should just be a requirement.
Right. Oh man, what a disaster. But here we are with another episode in the books. How exciting. Christy, how can people get in contact with us?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at groupdatespodcast.
Yes, you can. And as always, it is our joy and pleasure to bring you these reality TV recaps.